We weren't using the word battered women at the time.
I don't think we
I
wasn't
think
even.
it
That
was
didn't
more
happen
of,
until-
it was emergency housing for
Right.
women.
Abused
Right.
women in
What
the,
situation they were in, because I remember
Right.
that even when we started
Right.
the house.
Yeah,
and it's
there
in
was no
that
such
letter,
word. Yeah.
It was emergency housing for
Right.
women because men had a couple of places,
37.
a couple of options, 37
Uh-huh.
options to go for housing if they didn't have a place to stay for the night, but women had none.
we
And
still
so primarily, we just wanted to provide that
we wanted
housing.
it simple.
And we
just
didn't want to
simple.
get involved in what they were going to do next
No
necessarily.
means test.
At the Battered Women's Movement in St. Paul, there was a group of women and they had a hotline, and it was to give women advice, legal advice. And this was in 1972. It was Sharon Rice Vaughn and the other founders. And they were finding that a lot of the phone calls they were receiving were women who were talking about housing issues. And they were homeless because they were battered and had no place to go. So it morphed from there. And I think the first step they did is they got an apartment so they could house the women, and that wasn't working. And then they moved it up to Sharon's house. They looked for a house and they found this house on Grand Avenue and raised money and did fund drives and found the funding to finally purchase the house and open up Women's Advocates. And that was in 1974. So there were 2 years where they were figuring out how to do this. And it was a collaborative, it was a collective. And there was no model for that.
Executive directors and leaders were seen as part of the patriarchal system. We weren't coming to it with the sense of professionalism. Having that kind of background didn't necessarily mean you knew more about what women needed. So that the collective form also worked against a hierarchy developing based on skills and education among the staff.
The idea was to include all women, all voices. They decided we'll come together and we'll have this shelter, we'll have this place, but the women who come to us are the experts. They know themselves, and that, I think, is the foundation of their advocacy.
So when Women's Advocates first opened on this Friday in October, we were having a board meeting. The house wasn't ready. We were having a staff meeting, and these calls kept coming in, and we were supposed to put the calls on the answering, and they were women who just were needing a place. So we just said, the last decision, that this group made was, okay, let's open the doors. And they started coming in that night.
Remember, it was room and board license for 12. Remember that? Women and children 12, and by that summer, July, there were 36 in the house.
The shelter had only been open for 2 weeks. I remember that my babies were playing on the hill, and they were just crawling up and rolling down and laughing, and I didn't want to stop that. There were women and children everywhere. All the bedrooms were full. Sharon found a room for me and my children in the corner of the dining room. It was the only open space left, and I really felt grateful, that there was somewhere to go for safety. The next morning I got up, all the women that worked there were arriving. They went upstairs to have a staff meeting. And as I heard the women going up the stairs, they were talking about, violence against women. I said, I should be up there with them. I want to hear this conversation. I want to understand what this is about. And they know.
I got involved with Women's Advocates when I was just out of college. Women's Advocates, the building had just opened its doors about a month before. The times that I remember too that were really quite touching and wonderful were after the kids were in bed, women would gather in the kitchen and they would talk about their lives and about what they hoped for. And those conversations were kind of like heart of the support that women offered one another.
What was significant for me were the discussions that were happening among the women that worked there, the women that stayed there, and really gaining some insight and understanding about violence against women. And so that's what Women's Advocates represents for me, that awakening. It was a momentous occasion for me.